On Tuesday, October 27, 2020, at approximately 10:30 a.m., a shooting occurred in the 3300 block of Brussels, B-R-U-S-S-E-L-S Street, and that's near DI, Desert Inn, and Maryland Parkway. It was reported that several shots were fired into a vehicle by a male who was later identified as Maurice Parker. Fortunately, no one was injured in this event. At approximately 8:25 p.m. that same day, gang detectives were conducting a follow-up and investigating the shooting. Detectives learned that Mr. Parker was employed as a clerk at a convenience store located in the 2500 block of North Pecos. Sergeant Perry, along with Detectives Pappas, McGill, and Stafford, drove to the store to arrest Mr. Parker for the shooting. As detectives approached the store, they immediately spotted Mr. Parker standing behind the cash register. Sergeant Perry, the rest of the detectives, and 2 patrol officers made entry into the store and gave Mr. Parker verbal commands to keep his hands in the air on the back of his head and to not move. Mr. Parker initially complied and placed his hands on his head and faced away from the officers as he was instructed. As Sergeant Perry continued to issue verbal commands, Mr. Parker reached into his waistband and produced a handgun and turned toward the officers. Simultaneously, Sergeant Perry, Detective Pappas, Detective McGill, and Detective Stafford fired their weapons, striking Mr. Parker. Officers immediately summoned medical personnel, but Mr. Parker succumbed to his injuries at the scene. You'll see that they make contact with him. He initially complies. And then he'll quickly reach into his waistband, lifting his shirt to pull out his firearm as he turns towards the officers. This is a slowed down version of that fisheye camera. That's the firearm that he was reaching for. Here's another perspective from the body-worn camera.
Do not go. Do not move. Put the hands on top of your head. Yes, sir. Turn around slowly. Do not move. Do not go on your knees. Stand up straight. Do not move. Interlock your fingers. Stand up straight. That's all I got. Any other floating out of here? Hey, got me.
Don't step to your right.
Keep your hands on top of your head. Okay, wait outside.
You can see in that slowed down version as he starts to lift his shirt and reach into his waistband for that firearm that was later recovered nearby inside the store, and that's the firearm that was in the holster.